Alrighty. Notice today's subject is slavery. This comes from the Webster dictionary. Does anybody recognize any of these definitions? The first one is drudgery or toil. I don't know. Does anybody in the workforce consider their job drudgery and toil? I mean, and the government takes, what, depending on how much you make, 10%, 20% of your money. That's the federal government. Then there's sales taxes and property rental. If you own some property, you got to pay continuous rent. So ownership of property in the United States has ceased to exist. Anybody that thinks they owns their property, they're just totally uneducated. Okay, number 2, submission to a dominating influence. That's number 2, submission to a dominating influence. Is there any citizen in the United States, other than maybe a half of a percent, that do not submit to government and law enforcement? Let me tell you a little secret about law enforcement. Today, with computers, let's say you are a child, 12 years old, and you're out with your friends and you bust out a store window and you get arrested and convicted. Now, on your 18th birthday, that conviction goes away. But the arrest record never goes away. From the time till you die, you always have that arrest record. So when an employer's looking up your criminal history, it shows up he was arrested for vandalism, I don't know if I want him in my store. Sounds like a troublemaker. So in effect, today's police records have become lifelong records, even of minors. Your birth certificate. Everybody's familiar with this. Well, if you're not familiar with the straw man, go ahead and do a YouTube search under your straw man. There's a cute little cartoon that explains it pretty good. Back in, I think it was Woodrow Wilson, the puppet of the Morgans and Rothschilds. He was a puppet president. They started with the birth certificate thing. Before that, most people, their births were recorded in a family Bible. But now you had a certificate that could be traded on the market. It is a certificate held by the government. In effect, becoming a certified citizen of the United States, you are submitting to a dominating influence. So therefore, under Webster's dictionary, you're a slave. Or, as number 3A, the state of a person who is chattel of another. You are chattel of the government. Now, they have an illusion going that you're not. They say, well, you can work and you can become anything. Really? Anything? No, you can't. Not unless you lie and make promises to powerful people to do powerful people's bidding for them. The governor of the state of Tennessee, formerly the CEO of Pilot Oil, Everybody's seen those pilot travel centers all up and down the interstates. That's right. That's where our governor learned his thing. Now, I'm not saying if I was governor, I would love to have him as my Secretary of Commerce. But as far as being a governor, he sucks. And likewise, the Attorney General we have here in Tennessee, he's not a constitutional Attorney General. No, he's more of a corporate lawyer. So, in effect, our government is in the practice of slaveholding. This is where there are a lot more people going into the natural movement. Instead of me calling myself David Sardi, David Sardi is just a name on this channel. That is a name on a certificate. I am a man. I represent David Sardi. I am not David Sardi. I just represent him. I am his mouthpiece. That's all I am. And here's where it's really it's getting on my nerves. When it's got on my nerves several years ago when I went and tried to buy some iodine and found out that the DEA says that I can't buy iodine anymore because you can use it as a precursor, as one of the ingredients for methamphetamine. Well, since then, they found other things. But iodine is well known as it's right up there with chlorine as far as cleaning your food surfaces and antibacterial agent for, you could take some pure iodine crystals, just a little bit of them, and mix them up and make 50 gallons of iodine solution and wash down your kitchen equipment, put it in a sprayer and spray everything down and wipe it off, and it's just as good as Clorox, except it doesn't burn your clothes. It may stain your clothes, but it doesn't burn the fabric. So in a way, it's kind of less harmful than chlorine. Other ways, we're slaves. I mean, even people on welfare, they're totally dependent on the government. I tried when I was working. Because, believe it or not, I'm going to tell you another little secret. The insurance companies have bigger lobbies in Washington than even the NRA. That's right. Think about it. Health insurance. What is health insurance? Your health. Are your eyes part of your body? Well, then health insurance should cover your eyes. Is your teeth part of your body? Then health insurance should be part of your teeth. In other words, when you buy health insurance, it should be just plain health insurance. But of course, we get the lawyers involved and the lobbyists. That's why the bills in Congress are 1,000 pages long. They're made specifically so nobody can understand it, and they can nitpick out little things saying we don't have to cover that. When I was working full time, 3 years before I couldn't pass the DOT physical, I tried to get surgery. I tried, and I qualified. And then the company, which was self-insured, decided, well, we're not covering that for any of our drivers. Only office workers could have bariatric surgery. Not the truck drivers. The people that needed it. They say it's a lifestyle choice. They said, well, quit being a truck driver then. If that was their answer to it. after me working all those years paying for that insurance, and then they say, oh no, we're not going to cover that. And who contributes to these politicians? The insurance companies. Huge, billions of dollars go into every election from the insurance companies. Yeah, so what if the NRA gives a few million? Billions go in from insurance companies. Billions of dollars go in from pharmaceutical companies. All of this is done to keep me and you, let me get the pointer over here, in slavery. So anytime you think, America the free, we used to be, I think that quit around the 1890s. You know, the Civil War debt was so bad back then. We were on the verge of bankruptcy, and J.P. Morgan donated what at that time was probably several $billions, but right back then it was like 100 million or 100,000, whatever, of his own money to help pay the war debt. Now, there would have been many of other ways to pay that debt. But it's just control, folks. It's all about control. And I'm telling you things that they don't want known. People around me don't want to hear it. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe. As long as they get to go home and watch television, you get up, you make your car payment, which you don't really own the car. You're just, the government's allowing you use of it. You go make your car payment, you make your house payment, then you make your insurance payment, and then you make your, tax payment. And don't forget, now your phone has taxes on it, so cell phones taxed. Let's see, what else is taxed? Everything's taxed. Your television, cable, taxed. Water, separate bill, but still in effect. The water company is a municipality, so it's another tax, and that's taxation without representation. This is how, by Webster's dictionary, we are all slaves. We have been duped into being happy slaves by television and everything else, but nonetheless, you're a slave. You are a slave. And if you don't do what they say, they will lock you up or you'll die.